If people don't connect with your words, they won't follow your voice. That simple truth transforms everything about how you communicate. Most speak to be heard. Leaders speak to be remembered. The difference isn't in loudness. It's in accuracy, clarity, firmness, and timing. If your voice isn't respected, your ideas won't carry weight. If your words lack impact, your presence won't inspire anyone. This audiobook serves as your guide to developing a voice that earns respect without shouting. A voice that drives action without needing to impress. A voice that reaches minds and influences decisions. You don't need complex words. You need powerful ones. You don't need to speak more. You need to speak better. Through this chapter-by-chapter guide, you'll discover how to communicate like someone people truly listen to. Practical, actionable techniques you can use immediately in everyday conversations, high-pressure situations, and leadership roles. This is for those ready to lead, not someday, but now. If your words don't guide, nothing else will. It begins here. Chapter 1. Take ownership of every word you speak. Claim full ownership of every word you speak with unwavering certainty. That is where leadership is born. When you speak and your words lack substance, you are not communicating. You are producing noise. And noise does not move people forward. Noise does not shift thinking. Noise does not create trust. But when you speak with conviction, when you deliver words as if each one carries purpose, people take notice. They focus. They lean closer. And most importantly, they remember what you said. Confidence does not mean raising your voice. It does not mean posturing or performing. It means standing firmly behind what you say. It means believing your own message. And if you do not believe your message, there is no reason anyone else should. Confidence begins the moment you stop questioning yourself and start taking complete responsibility for everything that leaves your mouth. Most people communicate halfway. They hesitate. They hide behind phrases like, I think, maybe, I suppose, or I'm not entirely sure. And every time they do, they drain strength from their message. They lose attention. They lose influence. Because the reality is simple. No one follows uncertainty. No one commits to a shaky message. And no one is inspired by someone who does not trust their own voice. If you want to speak like a leader, you must decide that your words carry weight. You must mean what you say exactly what you mean, and fully stand behind it. When you speak, people should feel your seriousness. They should sense your stability. They should know that what you are saying is not empty talk. It reflects who you are. It reflects what you stand for. So how does that happen? It starts with awareness of the language you use daily. Most people speak on autopilot. They talk simply to fill space. A leader speaks with intention. You do not waste language. You do not drift. You do not dilute meaning. You speak directly. You speak honestly. And you speak with a presence that communicates, I have earned your attention. Confidence in speech is also built through preparation. When you do not understand what you are talking about, your voice betrays you. Your message collapses. That is why leaders prepare relentlessly. They think deeply. They reflect carefully. They gain clarity. So when the moment arrives to speak, they are not improvising. The work has already been done. The thinking has already happened. That is why their words carry force, because those words have already been proven in their own experience. Confidence strengthens when your words align with your actions. If you say one thing and live another, people will notice. And eventually, you will begin to doubt yourself as well. You cannot speak like a leader if you do not live like one. People pay closer attention to how you behave than to how you explain. They listen more to your conduct than to your claims. When your actions reinforce your words, confidence becomes effortless. You no longer need to force authority. It is already there because you have earned it. And understand this clearly. Stop apologizing for your truth. Stop reducing your message to make others comfortable. Leaders do not speak to gain approval. They speak to bring clarity. They speak to guide. If you are constantly concerned with opinions, you will never say anything meaningful. You do not need to be hostile. You do not need to be confrontational, but you must be firm. You must be authentic. And that requires owning your truth, even when it is not universally accepted. When you enter a room and speak, people should feel it. Not because of volume, but because of solidity. You are grounded. You are steady. And people can sense that you are not guessing your way through existence. You have made choices. You have formed beliefs. You have tested ideas. And now you speak from lived experience, not borrowed opinions. That is what gives language weight. It also means abandoning soft language used to shield insecurity. Eliminate fillers. Remove hesitation. When you believe something, state it. When you stand for something, voice it. When something is wrong, address it. Too many people weaken their voice trying to appear agreeable. But leadership is not about being agreeable. It is about expressing what matters, even when it creates discomfort. Confidence in speech also comes from respecting silence. Weak speakers rush to fill gaps. Silence makes them uneasy. Strong communicators understand that silence has power. You deliver a meaningful statement, then you pause. You allow it to register. You allow it to settle. You do not rush. You do not seek validation. You speak what must be said, and then you wait. That pause carries as much force as the words themselves. Remember this. Your voice is a tool, not a crutch. You do not speak to justify yourself. You do not speak to impress. You speak with purpose. You speak to move people towards something better. When you understand that, your voice changes. Your delivery shifts. You stop performing. You begin leading. Because now you are not speaking for attention. You are speaking for impact. Speaking like a leader has nothing to do with complex vocabulary. It has nothing to do with perfect grammar. It has nothing to do with sounding impressive. It is about clarity. It is about certainty. It is about authenticity. People respond to that. People follow that. Because in a world overwhelmed by noise, genuine voices cut through. So if you want to communicate like a leader, start here. Take ownership of every word you speak. Stop giving your voice away. Stop questioning your message. Speak with conviction. Speak from instinct. Speak with intention. Each time you do, your confidence expands. Your presence deepens. Your leadership strengthens. Because once you own your words, you begin to own the space you occupy. You carry yourself differently. You move with quiet authority. People see it in your expression. They hear it in your tone. They feel it in your presence. You are no longer attempting to sound like a leader. You are one. And that changes everything. Chapter 2. Understand your voice before you attempt to lead. This is not advice. It is a non-negotiable standard. Your voice is not merely sound. It is presence. It is posture. It is emotional signal. And when your voice lacks steadiness, your leadership will never feel reliable. You may possess intelligence, good intentions, and solid principles. But if your voice trembles, if it drifts, if it sounds uncertain or disorganized, people will hesitate to stand behind you. That hesitation exists for a reason. People do not only process your words, they interpret the way those words arrive. Leadership begins with how you show up. Your voice is a direct expression of what is happening internally. When you are anxious, it reveals itself. When you are irritated, it leaks through. When you doubt yourself, it becomes audible. There is no masking that. And the more emotional clutter you carry, the harder it becomes to speak with clarity, confidence, and direction. That is why, before stepping into influence, before attempting to guide anyone else, you must first learn to regulate your tone, your volume, your cadence, and your emotional state. Leaders do not simply speak. They draw focus, not through force, not through dominance, not by overpowering others, but through a calm, grounded voice that communicates, I am not here to impress. I am here to lead. That distinction matters. Those who raise their voices usually want attention. Those who are grounded want understanding. The difference is unmistakable. When your voice is controlled, people feel at ease around you. They sense stability. They believe you will not react impulsively, collapse under pressure, or spiral emotionally. You remain composed, and that composure builds trust. Leadership cannot exist when your voice shakes every time you assert yourself. It cannot survive when your tone shifts with your emotions. People grow weary of following voices they cannot anticipate. Unpredictability breeds tension, and leadership is not meant to create tension. It is meant to provide direction that feels dependable. So how do you gain command over your voice? It begins with awareness. Most individuals have no real understanding of how they sound. They have never paid attention to their tone. They have never recorded themselves. They do not know whether they rush, whisper, bark, or speak without energy. Awareness is the starting point. Self-observation. Listen to yourself honestly. Do you sound clear? Do you sound decisive? Do you sound like someone who stands behind their words or someone searching for approval? The clearer your awareness becomes, the more authority you gain over your delivery. You begin selecting your tone intentionally instead of allowing your emotions to dictate it. When frustration arises, you do not elevate your voice. You remain composed and address the issue directly. When enthusiasm appears, you do not rush and lose your audience. You maintain energy while preserving steadiness. Leadership requires emotional regulation, and your voice is the first place people notice whether you have it. Breathing plays a critical role in this control. Most people overlook how deeply breathing affects speech. Shallow breaths create rushed sentences, nervous energy, and instability. Slower, deeper breathing naturally strengthens your voice. It settles without effort. It becomes intentional. And others sense that discipline immediately. Before important discussions, meetings, or decisions, you ground yourself. You breathe. You slow your internal pace. Then you speak. True control also involves restraint. A strong voice is not only defined by what is spoken, but by what is withheld. Speaking impulsively leads to regret. It creates fractures that take time to repair. But when you train yourself to pause, to process, and to listen, your words become fewer and heavier. This is the core of effective leadership communication. Less noise, more substance. Consider the leaders you respect most. They did not rush their speech. They did not stumble. They did not fill silence with unnecessary words. They spoke deliberately. Each sentence served a purpose. Each word carried intention. They were not attempting to sound impressive. They were anchored. That grounding is what gave their voice authority. And that authority is not granted by position. It is not created through volume. It is built from inner strength. It is forged through discipline. And discipline is developed, not inherited. You train your voice like any other skill. You practice it. You refine it, not to perform, but to sharpen. If you speak publicly, you rehearse. You listen back. You adjust. If you lead others, you do not improvise your communication. You prepare your tone, your pacing, your delivery. Effective leaders do not leave communication to chance. They respect its impact. They understand that every word, every pause, every inflection either strengthens or weakens what they are building. Your voice is not reserved for critical moments alone. It matters in private conversations, in feedback sessions, in conflict, and in everyday exchanges. Every time you speak, people evaluate you. They silently ask themselves, is this person stable? Are they sincere? Can I rely on them? Trust rises or collapses based on how well you manage your tone, your message, and your energy. And energy is essential. A voice without energy cannot move people. Flat delivery cannot inspire action. You do not need to shout, but you must be engaged. Your voice must carry conviction. It must signal presence. Without that, even strong ideas lose impact. Leadership also requires mastery over emotional triggers. When pressure mounts, when mistakes happen, When others test your patience, your voice must remain intact. If it fractures under stress, confidence in your leadership erodes. People may acknowledge your competence, but they will hesitate to follow you when stakes are high. Control means remaining calm while everything else feels unstable. That calmness leaves an impression. It steadies others. When your voice is disciplined, your leadership sharpens. Your words become focused. Your presence strengthens. Your guidance feels deliberate, and people recognize it. They sense they are listening to someone who speaks with intention, not noise. Treat your voice with seriousness, not for appearance, but for influence. Train it consistently. Reflect on it. Record it. Invite honest feedback. Adjust until your tone mirrors clarity and strength. Practice speaking when pressure is present. Practice firmness without aggression. Develop a voice that steadies people, motivates them, and earns respect without demanding it. Because before anyone chooses to follow you, they listen. And before they listen, they judge your voice. Not your accent, not your vocabulary, but the control, presence, and discipline behind it. When your voice reflects stability, purpose, and composure, people feel secure. Confidence grows. Trust forms naturally. Not because you requested it, but because your voice demonstrated it. That is leadership. That is where it begins. Before expecting others to follow, ensure your voice is capable of guiding. Always, in every setting, in every moment, because once your voice is stable, your leadership becomes undeniable. Chapter 3. Speak with clarity and be precise. You must speak in a way that leaves no room for misunderstanding. This is one of the most powerful habits you can build if you want to lead people, influence outcomes, or be taken seriously in everyday life. Clear speech is not about sounding polished. It is not about using impressive words. It is not about complexity. It is about being understood. When people understand you, trust forms. When trust forms, attention follows. When attention follows, movement begins. If people do not understand you, nothing else matters. Your ideas lose value. Your intelligence becomes irrelevant. Your intentions no longer count. When your words fail to land, you lose the moment. You lose connection. You lose respect. And the most dangerous thing happens next. People fill in the gaps themselves. They assume what you meant. And people rarely assume correctly. They almost never assume in your favor. That is why clarity is non-negotiable. When your message is unclear, misunderstanding is guaranteed. And when misunderstanding enters, influence disappears. Speaking like a leader means accepting full responsibility for being understood. You do not overwhelm people and expect them to figure it out. You prepare your thoughts. You slow your delivery. You remove unnecessary noise. You stop trying to sound intelligent and focus on being clear. That is where strong communication begins. Most people never learn this. They speak too fast. They wander through their thoughts. They assume others can keep up. They skip steps. They leave confusion behind them everywhere they go. Then they wonder why no one follows, why trust is weak, why teams feel disorganized. The reason is simple. Confused words create confused minds. If people feel unclear after you speak, that responsibility belongs to you. So what does clear speaking actually look like? It starts before you speak. You must know your message first. Disorganized thinking produces disorganized speech. You sort your thoughts. You get specific. You avoid vague language. You say exactly what you mean. If you want someone to take action, say it in a straight line. Do not decorate it. Do not complicate it. Do not try to impress. Be direct. Be honest. Be clear. Clarity also requires discipline with words. Extra language weakens impact. If a thought can be said in fewer words, say it that way. When people hear too much, they disengage. Focus fades. Attention drifts. And once attention is gone, influence is gone with it. Leaders protect attention. They get to the point quickly, and they stay there. Clear speakers use language people understand. They do not hide behind jargon. They speak in familiar terms. They meet people where they are. When giving instructions, they explain them cleanly. When teaching, they simplify, not because others lack intelligence, but because connection matters more than the complexity. One of the strongest habits you can develop is slowing down. Speed weakens power. Rushed speech blurs meaning. Important details are missed. Slowing your pace signals control. It shows confidence. It gives people space to process what you are saying. Fast talking often comes from insecurity. People believe speed equals intelligence. Leadership moves differently. Leaders pause. They allow silence. They let words settle. That pause draws people in. That pause adds weight. Tone matters as much as words. Tone delivers meaning words alone cannot. You can say the right sentence with the wrong tone and still fail. Or you can deliver a simple message with the right tone and make it land hard. Tone is attitude made audible. When tone is inconsistent, too flat, too aggressive, too uncertain, clarity breaks down. People stop knowing what matters. That is why tone must match intention. Serious messages sound serious. Energy sounds energized. Mixed signals weaken authority. Another reason people lose clarity is overload. They try to say everything at once. They rush the entire message into one moment. That is unnecessary. Choose one main idea. Build around it. Stay focused. Make it easy to follow. Simplicity is not weakness. It is strength. The ability to express a large idea in clean language is leadership. Sometimes clarity requires repetition, not excess. Precision. You state the core message clearly. You pause. You state it again with certainty. Then you move forward. No circles. No wandering. Just direction. You must also watch how people respond as you speak. Watch their eyes. Watch their expressions. Are they confused? Distracted? Focused? Communication is alive. If attention drifts, adjust. Strong leaders respond to feedback in real time. They clarify without ego. They check for understanding sincerely. And if confusion remains, they do not defend their words. They improve them. There is one more element most people ignore. Your presence. Communication is not only verbal, it is posture, expression, gesture, energy. When your body contradicts your words, people trust what they see. Stand with confidence. Face people directly. Be fully present. These details reinforce clarity. Clear communication is built through daily practice, not only in important moments. In ordinary conversations, you train getting to the point. You choose stronger words. You ask sharper questions. You refine how ideas are delivered. This is how leaders sharpen their voice, not just on stages, but in daily exchanges. Clarity is not automatic. It is earned. It is chosen. Every time you speak, you either strengthen trust or weaken it. You either guide people forward or leave them uncertain. And the responsibility is always yours. So stop hiding behind complex language. Stop assuming people will interpret you correctly. Stop rushing your words and hoping they land. Make a decision. When you speak, you will speak clearly. You will speak with intent. You will speak so no one leaves uncertain about who you are or what you stand for. Speak as if your words carry weight. Speak as someone with direction. Speak as someone who has done the work and earned attention. That is how leaders speak. That is how leaders connect. That is how leaders build something real. And that is why people choose to follow those who make their message clear every single time. Chapter 4. Speak with words that command respect and hold attention. This is a skill most ignore, yet every leader must master. People don't follow weak, uncertain voices. They follow voices that carry substance. Strong words aren't harsh. They convey meaning, weight, and authority. Every time you speak, you either strengthen your credibility or lose it. You either capture attention or fade into the background. Weak words are soon forgotten. Strong words are remembered. To speak like a leader, You must understand the impact of your words, not just their meaning, but the tone, presence, and power behind them. Strong words demand attention through precision, not volume. Speak clearly and firmly, and people pause. They sense your seriousness. They feel your confidence. One strong sentence can shift a conversation or a life. Hesitant phrases like "I think," "maybe," or "sort of" dilute your message. Strong words are clean, direct, and decisive. They signal choice. You are not offering an opinion. You are making a statement. Certainty earns respect. If you constantly soften your words to avoid offense or please everyone, you say nothing that matters. People respect clarity. They follow honesty, especially when it's uncomfortable. Strong words are unshakable. You don't raise your voice, you raise your standard. Your words reflect your expectations. Accept mediocrity and your words will sound mediocre. Demand more and your words will carry power. Strong words start in the mind. Clear thinking produces strong speech. Authority comes from inner strength, forged by pressure, challenge, and discipline. People don't just want information, they want conviction. Doubt in your voice loses them. Speak from experience, from truth, and people feel the difference. Words alone are easy. Truth requires discipline. When your words are rooted in truth, they cannot be ignored. Remove all filler. Words like "you know" or "kind of" weaken impact. Leadership is about precision. One confident sentence outweighs a 10-minute speech full of fluff. Say less, but make every word count. To earn respect, respect your own words. Don't speak to fill silence. Don't speak without thought. Every sentence should have purpose. Every word should be intentional. Attention is earned through clarity, not flash. Your words should anchor thought. If they fade as soon as they're spoken, you're blending in, not leading. Leadership language is bold, confident, and clear. If people ask, "What did you mean?" you've already lost authority. People follow voices that are simple to understand, yet impossible to ignore. That is the balance, simplicity paired with strength. Strong words must be earned. They cannot be faked. If your life doesn't match your words, they will feel empty. Discipline matters. Standards matter. Your voice gains power from your example. Live what you say, and you don't need to convince anyone. They feel it. Command attention by adding value. Ask yourself, does this help someone think better, act better, live better? If not, don't speak. Leaders speak to move things, not fill time. Words that consistently deliver value create space for you. People stop, listen, and absorb. Strong words are honest, truthful, not cruel. Say what needs saying directly. Many avoid this. They soften statements, circle topics. Leaders speak boldly. They say, "This isn't working. This must change. Here's what happens next." Clarity builds respect. Not everyone will like it, but they will remember it. Speak with focus, courage, and precision. Leaders don't speak more. They speak stronger. True strength comes from self-control, thought, and responsibility, not volume. Every room is full of voices, most blending together. But a voice with depth and clarity turns heads. The goal is impact, not loudness. Leadership begins with your inner voice. If your inner voice is weak, your outer voice will be too. Speak strongly to yourself first, discard self-doubt. Train your mind to think with strength, and your words will follow. Say, "I can handle this. I will improve. I refuse mediocrity." When you affirm yourself with strength, your speech reflects it. Choose words deliberately. Speak with conviction. Remove soft language that wastes time. Speak to be clear, not liked. Speak to influence, not fill silence. Speak from experience, not theory. Strong words resonate. People listen longer, trust more, and remember, respect is built. Attention is earned, not through noise, but through precise, authentic words. Approval is optional. Discipline, belief, and courage are essential. Speak as someone who stands by every word. This is leadership. People follow not just words, but words that guide, words that act, words that lead. Chapter 5. Speak in ways that compel people to act. Leadership communication is not about talking. It's not about sounding smart. It's about words that move people, words that make them pause, words that make them act. A leader's words don't fill time, they shift minds. They wake people up. They push someone to take a step they've been avoiding. Your words must carry weight, not hype, not emotion. Real force, words that produce action. Without it, you're just background noise. People hear too much every day. Opinions, instructions, distractions, advice. Most of it fades. Only words that spark something strong enough to move them stick. Speak to wake people, not to entertain. Speak beyond their ears, reach their core. This isn't memorized lines. It comes from clarity, from intention, from experience. Before you speak, check your motive. Are you impressing or impacting? Repeating or revealing truth? People sense the difference. Real words land. They stick. They move people. Address the pain, the frustration, the decisions they've been avoiding. Truth hits. It stings. It frees. People are surrounded by soft messages telling them to wait. That's not leadership. They need clarity. You've waited long enough. You've been hiding. You've been settling. Not judgment, just truth. Don't over-explain. Say it once, clearly, firmly. Let it resonate. 5 examples dilute your impact. Keep it sharp, direct. Once spoken, don't soften it. People need clarity, not comfort. Certainty, not vagueness. Action follows clarity. Urgency matters. People act only when something must happen now, not later. Not in perfect conditions. Show the stakes. What happens if nothing changes? What is lost by staying the same? Action comes not from fear, but from truth. Inaction is often the riskiest choice. Use words people understand. Speak like someone who has walked their path. Authenticity matters more than grammar or polish. Believe your own words or no one will. Your tone carries conviction. If you preach what you don't practice, your words lose power. But when your life matches your message, words hit without volume. People seek permission to change, not motivation. They need to know leaving the familiar is okay. They want to demand more of themselves. Your words can unlock that. Be direct, grounded, action-focused. Confront what's avoided. Hold the mirror. Call it out, not angrily but honestly. Discomfort becomes the pivot point. Many wait for someone to elevate them. You are capable of more. Act now. Correctly delivered, this can change lives. Say what is needed, not what's popular. Leaders chase progress, not applause. The room may not cheer. That's fine. People will think. And if it's real, they'll move. Speak with responsibility. Silence can be powerful. One sentence followed by quiet often beats a long lecture. Let truth breathe. Let it echo. Simplify. Complexity hesitates. Clear next steps empower action. Start today. Make the call. Write it down. Fix it now. Move from thought to decision. From intention to action. From idea to result. Say it better, not more. Keep your message sharp. Call out habits that hold people back. Say what others won't. This is leadership. Words with truth, urgency, and direction. Delivered with calm certainty. Words that stop delay and start purpose. Speak to hunger. Apply pressure to awaken. Give clarity to act. Speak from a place already moved within yourself. Speak from your standards. Speak from your scars. Speak from lessons learned hard. That is your voice. That is your message. That moves people. Chapter 6. Stand firm when others try to shake you up. This is what separates real leaders from those who fold under pressure. Anyone can appear confident when no one challenges them. Anyone can sound strong when everything is calm. The true test comes when your beliefs, your words, your decisions are questioned. When your voice, your message, your stance is challenged. That's when presence is revealed. That's when you discover what your voice is truly made of. The world rarely offers silence. It gives resistance. Your ability to lead depends on how solidly you hold. Most people crack at the first sign of discomfort. They soften their words, over-explain, seek approval, and lose the power of their voice. Leadership isn't about winning agreement. It's about standing firm when others don't. You speak not to please, but because your message matters. If it matters, you don't let pressure change it. People will test you. Always. They'll challenge your tone, twist your words, question your decisions. You have a choice. Remain anchored or get pulled into doubt. Wavering every time someone challenges you is insecurity disguised as leadership. To stand firm, you must know what you represent. Pressure will expose uncertainty. Clarity creates stability. If you've defined your values, your direction, your message, you don't panic or scramble. You don't change your language to fit the crowd. You stay grounded. Strength cannot be borrowed. Confidence cannot be copied. It must be yours, built through repetition, experience, and speaking when it's hard. This strength doesn't appear automatically. You cultivate it. Each time you stay calm under pushback, you reinforce it. Each time you hold your ground, you grow stronger, not louder, stronger. Leaders don't shout to prove themselves. They speak with calm authority. That steadiness cuts through noise. People respect composure. When your tone wavers with the room, trust erodes. Smile or nod they may, but deep down, they know they cannot rely on you. Respect is earned when your message holds under pressure. Speak the same in discomfort as in comfort. Let your face remain steady despite raised voices. To lead well, embrace discomfort. Be the one who doesn't bend when others seek escape. This isn't stubbornness. It's steadiness, thought, independence. Your voice may shake occasionally. That's human. Still, you speak. You hold your position. You remain rooted in truth. You don't avoid tension. You confront it. You show disagreement doesn't intimidate you. Challenge doesn't destabilize you. Doubt doesn't make you waver. Leadership is revealed in these moments, not in inspiring words alone, but in staying firm. Opponents aren't always loud. Sometimes subtle, a smirk, a raised eyebrow, a sharp question. You respond without emotion. You do not overreact. You stay even. You hold your tone. You remain respectful but unmovable. You don't attack to defend yourself. You simply remain grounded. A voice built on truth needs no defense. It stands independently. You feel it when someone tries to shake your ground. Energy shifts. The room tightens. Most shrink, but this is your moment to rise. Not with louder words, but with steadier presence. People notice when someone speaks without flinching, holds firm without defensiveness, maintains clarity under pressure. This is the communication people follow. Not perfection, but solidity. True strength isn't in agreement. It's in disagreement. Grounded leaders show that they are not easily shaken. Their words aren't dictated by trends, emotion, or reaction. Their speech carries weight. People follow that presence. Not hype, not popularity, but authenticity that doesn't sway with the room. You don't owe explanations. Some provoke, some argue. Not your responsibility. Your duty, stay anchored in what matters. Deliver your message. Let the outcome unfold. There is quiet power in standing firm. You don't need to say a lot. You don't need to justify everything. Often, silence and calm speak louder than 100 words. Practicing this consistently builds unshakable composure. Not arrogance, not dismissiveness, but grounded presence. This sharpens your leadership voice. Not volume, but conviction. Not emotion, but clarity. Not dominance, but consistency. The world is noisy. People talk over each other, react impulsively, compete to be heard. What stands out is someone who speaks and holds their ground. Someone who knows their core. Someone unmoved by disagreement. This person becomes a voice of trust, a voice of clarity. A voice people return to, not because it aligns with their wishes, but because it is consistently real. Applause isn't guaranteed, not the goal. Respect is, impact is, strength is. When challenged, do not waver. Do not mirror emotion. Do not rush or shrink. Hold tone, pace, clarity, stance. This is how trust is built, how presence is established, how real leaders are recognized, not by ease, but by steadiness and discomfort. Stand your ground, and people believe, not just in your words, but in you. Then you don't just speak, you lead.